Welcome to the Prepper Homestead Workshop. Moving forward with the little series here on armor for preppers, I want to start with helmets. Now, first of all, I didn't say this in the introduction, and I should have. Armor, body armor, helmets, those are not early on prepper things. That's not something that you get right off the bat. That's something that you get way later. You know, you need to start with water, food, shelter, protection. You know, you need to go over all of those. If you don't have several months of food and water and a resupply plan and a rifle and the ability to use it, you need to go back and do that first. Stop watching this video and go do that. Armor is way down the list. And armor also doesn't fit into everyone's plan, but it does fit into other people's plans. If your sole plan is to become a refugee and bug out on foot with no set location, then body armor or helmets are not for you because of the weight issue. If your plan is to bug out on in a vehicle, then body armor makes sense for that situation. If you are bugging in, or you have a bug out location where you can keep things, and then you may need to protect them, then body armor and helmets are for you. But just keep in mind before jumping in with a, well, I wouldn't carry that. Well, everybody's plan isn't to go tromping through the woods and build a shelter out of twigs and live the rest of their life with no clothes, eating squirrels they catch with rat traps. So this won't fit into everyone's plan, but this will fit into a lot of plans. Now, what I've got here, these are some of the most common types of helmets that you can find fairly easily right now on the market. This back here, which I'll be showing you all of them better in a minute, but this is a steel helmet. That one's a Polish one, but they're cheap, they're available, and they are the least desirable. Next, we've got the old PASGAT. This is the personal armor system for ground troops, and they're extremely common on the used market. They are still produced for law enforcement and other militaries. They have been phased out by our military. Over here, this is the ACH Advanced Combat Helmet. It is current issue, although it is currently being phased out, but these are available. And then this is a modified PASGAT. But I'm going to talk to you about all four of these and explain the differences and the advantages and disadvantages of each. This is a Polish steel helmet. This is going to be representative of most of the steel helmets that you can find on the market. There is very little ballistic protection in these helmets. They are all going to have a suspension system, something like this, a lot like a modern construction helmet. Well, actually a lot more comfortable than a modern construction helmet. Or any of the construction helmets I've ever gotten to wear. But it'll usually be a combination of nylon or cotton and leather. The chin strap will be a 2-point chin strap. Some of the later ones, I have seen some with Fastex buckles, but most of them have some kind of snap or a buckle, like a traditional buckle. In reality, they are pretty lightweight. These helmets, the old Soviet Eastern Bloc helmets, they are all over the place, fairly cheap. The US M1, the steel helmets from World War II up until the 80s, they are still available, and these will not stop any kind of firearm. You know, maybe a glancing blow from something, but they're not. They have no real ballistic protection. Where they really come into their own is fragmentation from shells, shell splinters, shrapnel, things like that. That's where these helmets come into play. Now you would think that these were totally obsolete and you would never see these ever again. But if you watch footage of our modern battlefields where wars are going right now, if you can get away from just watching U.S. troops and British troops and things like that, and start watching the smaller units. Look at the war in the Ukraine. Look at the war in Syria. Look at the Afghan army. Look at the wars in Africa. You can see a lot of steel helmets are still in use in war zones. They're not ideal, they're not the best thing, but it is better than nothing. Along the same line as these would be climbing helmets, bicycle helmets, whitewater helmets, hockey helmets, things like that, motorcycle helmets. These are helmets that don't offer ballistic protection, but they keep you from knocking your head. They might stop some of those other helmets I just mentioned, that might, help with shell splinters and stuff like that. But it's better than absolutely nothing. If I were to go to a political rally of some kind in a major city, I would rather have this than a ball cap on. They can be had from $10 up. You can find them at flea markets online, and this is a cheap way to start. This is something that you could have a couple of on hand, and you're only out about 20 bucks, 20, 30 bucks. The PASGAT, Personal Armor System Ground Troops. These came into service with the United States military in 1983. There are still quite a few in service with the United States Navy. They have been phased out of Army, Marine, and everybody else. But these were the United States' first Kevlar helmet. And there are, these are everywhere. You can find these everywhere. If you go to a large flea market and can't find one of these, I worry about you. I have never paid more than, I think, $30 is the most I've ever paid for a PASGAT. I have traded for them. I have gotten them for $10. PASGATs are out there. They're available, and if you're willing to spend, pay for the shipping, you can get them off eBay. Pretty daggum cheap, 40, 50 bucks. And this helmet has quite a bit of ballistic protection. Now, essentially, all of the Kevlar helmets are going to be a level 2 type protection. And what that means is these helmets will stop the majority of pistol rounds. There are plenty of videos you can watch on YouTube. There's plenty of research you can do online and see people shooting these helmets with various pistol rounds. 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP. They will even stop a 7.62 Tokarev, which is a very, very powerful pistol round because of the velocity. So it would probably stop a 357 SIG. 357 Magnum, I don't know. I doubt if you're in some sort of combat zone, you're going to be dealing with too many people with 357 Magnums. But anyway, the whole point is these will stop most pistol rounds. There is a large amount of different covers in different colors for them. These have not just been used by the United States military, but some of the covers that were made for them for the United States military would be the 6-color desert or chocolate chip woodland camo. There's also, of course, going to be the 3-color desert. The snow camo, which is essentially white. The universal camouflage pattern. That is the camouflage pattern that is fortunately being phased out right now. A lot of people call it ACU. ACU is the uniform cut. Universal camouflage pattern is those hard little squares. And then, of course, MARPAT. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I believe the marine pattern covers are reversible. You've got their woodland pattern on one side and then their desert pattern on the other side. I could be wrong about that, but that's the way I believe those covers work. So there's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of things that you can go with them. You can get a face shield, which is not ballistic protection. It's for riot control. Usually they will have you get a band to go on them. They have the cat eyes on the back, and this is essentially so you do not shoot your buddy in the back if you are at night. You know, you'll be able to see those 2 dots and know that he's with you. Now the suspension on these is basically the exact same suspension as the M1 helmet, steel helmet. Okay, we've got our nylon suspension, which is screwed in here. I've got a leather sweatband. Now this one has added, this is foam that has been added into it, and this helps support it a little more. Now it also, these have the 2-point chin straps, which are adjustable, and then it's got a little pocket for your chin, and then it's got a snap to snap it out. Now, like I said, these helmets, they offer you ballistic protection. They are mostly, you know, bumping your head, things like that. They give you more protection than the steel helmets. Now, if you talk to people from my father's generation, they're like, well, you can't, you know, boil water and wash your feet in them. No, you can't. But they, you know, they do a helmet's job a lot better, which is to protect your head. These are the most prevalent kind of helmets. They are comfortable enough as far as I'm concerned. You may not like them, but I find them comfortable in hot weather, cold weather. They seem to work best in both. You get a lot more ventilation than you do with the more modern helmets. But those are the PASGATs. Okay, the helmet on the right here is the ACH, or Advanced Combat Helmet. This is still a PASGAT. Now, the ACH was developed from the MITCH, which is the Modular Integrated Combat Helmet. The MITCH was developed in the late 90s, and there have been a few developments from that. It was to bridge the gap between the... a lot of Special Forces units were wearing bump helmets, soccer helmets, things like that, because the old PASGAT, they were finding them to be a bit heavy and not quite as comfortable. So the MITCH was developed, the ACH was developed from that. A lot of people still call all helmets in this cut a MITCH. They're not 100% right, but that's not something that really matters. If somebody says MITCH or ACH, we know what you're talking. Now, the reason why I've got the PASGAT out here, I want to show you some of the differences. It's not just the suspension. The PASGAT has this brim, the ACH does not. The PASGAT, the earpieces come down a little further. The back is a little lower on the ACH. It's kind of hard to tell. The PASGAT has this dip, but the ACH, this is actually all at about the same level of this dip if it were on your head. And the reason for that is if you go prone wearing these helmets, if the helmet's touching your pack or anything like that, it has a tendency to push it forward. So that makes it a little more effective when you are having to go prone in that type situation. Now this has the Surefire helmet light, the first one. There's a newer model now, and this screws on there. It does not weigh that much. It is kind of handy. You have a LED light which you can control 3 different brightness settings. You have a 2 blue, and once again you can control the brightness setting, map reading, things like that. The bottom switch turns on infrared strobe, which is right there. So if you're doing operations at night, you have a IR strobe, and anybody in NVGs can see what's going on and tell friend from foe, unless of course they can order Surefire lights off of eBay. But anyway, the main change in here is the suspension system. Now, what we have here, this is a pad system, and it's held in with Velcro, and you can kind of set it up different ways. Now what this does is holds the helmet tighter to your head. There were some issues with the old Pascat where they would be hit with some sort of impact, and the suspension, it would stop the projectile, it would stop the bullet, or it would stop the shell splinter, but it would tear the suspension loose and it would turn the helmet itself into the projectile that struck the head. This cushioning provides better ballistic protection. The Kevlar will still stop the same kind of rounds, you know, basically pistol rounds, and perhaps glancing rifle rounds. You know, you occasionally, if you hunt, you can find these helmets and the Pascats where a rifle round will hit it with a glancing type blow and it'll stop it. But I wouldn't count on that. That's not something I would go for here. You can arrange the pads differently so you can get some ear muffs, radio communication, or electronic hearing protection in the helmet. This one also has the nape protector, which was phased out quite a while ago, which goes on the back, and it's Kevlar to protect your neck, basically from shell splinter, shrapnel, that type of thing. Now these helmets, I've got a couple of these, and they had the universal camouflage pattern, the little horrid squares, covers on them. And I got rid of those because I don't see that as an effective camouflage pattern. So these are painted. You can get a cloth cover and several different camouflage patterns for them now. Of course, the most available being multicam. But this one's just painted. This is, in all reality, this is the most modern combat helmet that I have. It is lightweight and well, it's about the same as the Pascat, to be honest. But it's not my personal favorite. It is the safest, but not my favorite. You know how that works. But let's look at the last one I want to show you here. This is another Pascat, but it is not just another Pascat. The Marine Corps switched in 2003 and started going to the lightweight helmet, the lightweight Marine helmet. These helmets are essentially Pascats with a different suspension system. They had two different suspension systems in them. This suspension system is the early suspension system. Now, if you can look at this, we'll compare it to a regular Pascat. You can see there's a lot more involved in the comfort here. This pad right here takes care of the crown of your head a lot better. This leather is much more supple on this sweatband, and it still is the breathability of a suspension type helmet. So it's much more cool than an ACH or Mitch type helmet. Also, this is the 4-point chin strap, so it holds it on your head better. I forgot to mention that in the ACH. The ACH has a 4-point chin strap instead of a 2-point chin strap. So the helmet stays on your head much better. I made a video. This was not actually, I did not buy this as a lightweight Marine Corps helmet. What I did was I got a hold of a Pascat that did not have any suspension in it. I got it very cheap. And I then hunted around and found on eBay, you can get the lightweight Marine suspension system and chin strap very, very cheap online. I think I paid $12 or $15 shipped for the suspension system, the sweatband, and the chin strap. And this is the most comfortable of all of these helmets that I've shown you. It's got a multicam cover on it. But this is probably my go-to helmet if I ever need a helmet. Kind of hope I never need a helmet. Final thoughts: you are probably never going to need a helmet with any ballistic protection. That's probably not going to come up. But it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Even if you never use this, you have an interesting military collectible that should go up in value. all these helmets are available. They're out there. The ACHs, I think I paid about, one I paid 40, the other one I paid 54. They're out there, they're inexpensive. You can hunt around and find them. It's like I said, it's not the first thing you want to get, but this is on the list of things that you may want to get. If you have a plate carrier and body armor, you need a helmet. If there's ever a situation to where you think you might be shot, and you've thought about it enough that you have body armor, well, your head is also important, so keep that in mind. So anyway, this is what I've got on this. I hope you learned something from the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, you know, whatever you think about helmets, either way, let me know. I'm curious. Do you run a helmet? What kind of helmet do you run? How do you run it? What do you think about it? Just, yeah, let me know. If you'd like to see more videos like this, I'm doing a series on prepper armor. Please subscribe to the channel. And y'all behave yourselves and be safe.